one of the issues I think in the industry is that a lot of carriers don't see the broker as a customer. They see him as a broker. They literally refer to them as a broker, right? And Toni always had a different mentality. He had the mentality of like, I'm going to take care of Simon. I'm going to take care of his book of business. I'm going to make sure he's taken care of, whether it's Echo or it doesn't matter where. It was me, and for him, I was a customer.
This episode is brought to you by Isometric Technologies, ISO, the ultimate freight broker's secret weapon. With ISO, you'll have access to industry-wide service performance benchmarks, dynamic carrier and customer scorecards, and powerful analytics so you can understand your service strengths, address your weaknesses, and differentiate your carrier network from the competition. To learn more and get started, visit iso.io today. Receive $200 off your ticket at Manifest using our link today. We are excited to once again partner with Manifest for their upcoming event, Manifest Vegas, from February 5th to 7th, 2024. Dubbed the world's largest global supply chain and logistics tech gathering, it promises a unique blend of Fortune 500 supply chain executives, fresh startups, and tech pioneers. Be among the 4,500 plus supply chain innovators, and remember, by using our exclusive link, you can save $200 off your ticket. Don't miss out.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Freight Caviar Podcast. Today we are in Country Club Hills, Illinois, southern suburbs of Chicago. We got these beautiful tracksuits from our friends at Logan Premium. I've never had anything like this before, so we're in.
I don't believe that.
I've never received a tracksuit from a company before.
Okay,
so
okay, this is a first.
This is a first. So we got our Please Advise hats right here. Courtesy of Reed at Lost Freight. If you want a Please Advise hat, reach out to Reed.
I'll hook you guys up.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, we'll hook them.
Today we're speaking with Toni Gjurovski, the founder of Tag Trans Trucking Company, Tag Sales, Tag Sales Trucking. Truck Sales, and Tag Repair. Here, alongside, as well as Logan Premium, the brokerage, logistics. And then Simon Wylangowski, the Director of Operations at Logan Premium. Thank you, gentlemen, for having us here for the tracksuits and for having the opportunity to interview you both. Toni, if you could just kind of start off with like kind of giving us an introduction of who you are, where you came from, and kind of like how you started all these companies.
Well, my name is Toni Gjurovski. I'm the founder of all these companies you listed, but the way in the trucking came once I came from Macedonia in the United States is looking for opportunities where you can fit. It was I first went into the restaurant. I didn't like it in that area. Didn't work out well. Then the next opportunity after that was being in landscaping. Landscaping was fun, but it was not something that was going to be for me for long term. As a people in trucking, and I like driving. So, and back 2007, got my CDL and start driving. After 4 years of driving and through the recession, I got my first truck. And the recession 2009 was so bad that we were driving basically for free, or sometimes we were paying money to drive our trucks. And then I got a big repairs that weighed me down, that I had to look for opportunity in outside of the truck, and went from dispatching for another company and start Tag Trans in 2012. It was interesting, I would say, ride. We went through a lot of hoops. We tried to provide the best service out there to our customers, brokers, and the drivers at the same time. You want to be in the middle and always be fair to everybody. We got to many regulations since then, from paper logbook going to the ELD logbooks. That was a big hurdle that we overcome. And in some time after that, we wanted to diversify a little bit. So we and some customers needed some of the somebody they can trust, so they can move extra freight that we have. So that's when Logan Premium was opened and operated just on an idle, I would say, based on need. And we were looking for terminal because we were leasing terminal and we were not getting the service, and the trucks were not serviced on time. We were just gonna wait for days. So that's when we had to invest in get a 10-acre facility, 126 spot place where we got a truck service with 8 bays.
Okay, so all kind of developed one after another out of necessity, kind of.
Yeah.
Very interesting. We're going to touch on a few of those subjects
15
real
years
quick.
put in a 1 minute.
Yeah. We'll dig deeper.
That sounds pretty easy.
Yeah.
Really easy.
Yeah, overnight.
And I was born with white hair, so it's not from trucking.
Yeah. We'll dig deeper in here in a second. I want to just real quickly also have Simon introduce yourself to the audience and kind of give us a little background.
Well, thanks for coming, first of all, and you look great in the tracksuit. So,
A little bit tight, but
that. Appreciate that. But yeah, Simon Wylangowski. I started in logistics out of college, kind of the same way that frankly a lot of brokers do, which is you come out. I was supposed to go into finance, in finance sales, and that was 08, 09, and there was a little crisis that happened during that time period. So a small little thing that most people have never heard of, but. I decided to kind of pivot and go into brokerage based off a recruiter reaching out to me from Echo, which is where Reed came from as well. And that was a good decision, honestly. It was a good environment. I came in there. I wanted a place where I could either make my own money based off like my commissions or create something on my own that I wouldn't. I had no interest in kind of climbing that corporate hierarchy ladder kind of thing, right? I wanted something that was a little more fast-paced, and brokerage definitely offered that. But I was also a 22-year-old kid that knew nothing, so I mean, the decision was made for me essentially. But so I started there and started in customer sales actually for about half a year, and I was mediocre at that. But I switched over to carrier sales, and that was for me like just a natural fit. It was much more high-paced, like everything moving a mile a minute, and I loved that. And I kind of hit the ground running with that, and continued doing that for about 13 years over there. And that was a wild ride. I loved it. Met a lot of great people there, and a great place to start. Frankly, nothing bad to say about that company at all whatsoever. Great company. But eventually, I kind of did as much as I could over there. So that's when I finally decided to come over and start this with Toni and focus on building out a great brand at Logan Premium, and kind of create something that I could stand behind in terms of a brokerage that did things a little bit differently than some of the ways I've seen brokers operate, and for me that was really important. So I wanted to do something a little bit different here, and that's what we've been doing.
I'm curious how you guys met.
Toni and I met through me doing carrier sales and him being a trucker. So,
Do you guys work together?
Yeah,
Cool.
he used to dispatch for honestly too long at Tag Trans when he was running Tag and doing a million other things. And me and him started working together through that way, and more or less talked every day. Every once in a while, booked a load. And
How was the freight he gave you? Was it any good or?
Yeah, it was good. I always taking
Echo's
taking care.
a good broker, right? I mean, what do you?
I would say the brokerage company Echo is a good company.
Yeah.
Because we were trusting that we're going to get paid and everything was invoiced correctly. But the person that you work inside is what it matters.
Sure.
And to make sure that it's different interaction. So we want to find a click, and then you just got to trust him that he's going to say, Toni, we have a load 300 miles, 400 miles away that had the truck, and he said 90% of the people I called, they will say no, but just send the truck anyway. So I was sending trucks 400 or 500 miles that had
Wow.
on the trust, and that's how you do it. You go there, the load is there, it's not going to burn you. So we both.
yeah, I mean, that was the early days. So when I came over, there was no flatbed department really. So me and two other guys named Jake Christie and Andy Smith started the flatbed department at Echo, but we were still really young. Everything, the department was young. No one knew what they were doing, right? So I would frequently call Toni to cover some like Houston to North Dakota load, and we couldn't find a truck anywhere. And he would legitimately deadhead a truck from Chicago, and I would just pay for that no matter what.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And we would deadhead trucks from Chicago to pick up a Houston and North Dakota, and that was the only way we knew how to source a load at the time. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, so we started working together, and then eventually he went on to stop dispatching, as he should, because he was running 1,600 other companies. And but we stayed close friends, vacation together, hang out, going to Christmas together, and everything like that. But at a certain time, then he finally was just trying to get me to come over to work with him on this Logan Premium thing. And for a long time, I was kind of pushing back against it because, frankly, my career was going well at Echo, and it was going to be a big financial sacrifice. But I always believed in him and wanted to work with him because I trusted him, and I think who you work with is really important. You need to trust your business partners, right?
Yeah.
And I very much did, and for me that was paramount as far as like where I went. Is the person I worked with, I needed to know that they would be there with me and for me, and we would always be able to trust each other in terms of like when things went badly, like they're not going to just bail, right?
Hey there, amazing listeners. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on our podcast, we need your support. It'll only take a moment, but it would mean the world to us. Please make sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to share with one of your friends that would enjoy our content. Your engagement helps us reach more people and bring more awesome episodes to you. Thanks a million, and thanks for being part of the podcast community.
So, Toni,
Just kidding.
when you, Toni, you grew up in Macedonia, and when you grew up in Macedonia, did you always like believe like, I want to go to America? Did you always have that in your mind, or how did that whole situation arise, or did it out of nowhere, kind of like an opportunity came and you're like, okay, I'll take advantage of it? What was that like?
That's never thought about it, but it is since I would say since we grow in Macedonia, it's like in the Balkan, and we grew up in a war-torn Balkan at that time. We had Yugoslavia, Macedonia was part of, was being breaking up from the inside, and we were under all kinds of embargoes. We could not leave the country to go anywhere, but that's another story. And we had to watch, then we got introduced to the Hollywood movies in America and all that stuff. On the other side, I had some relative that's been in the United States that was some kind of connection that America is something, it's good, and they have a lot of opportunities over there. So when opportunity came for me to come here, I took it, and I did the best I know with it.
And when was that? What year was that?
I came 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. In 2006, you went to Jersey for a little bit. And I know we talked about like the story and the restaurant and then like landscaping, but I'm really curious more about the trucking stuff. So you were telling us a story that you were making, I think, $360 at the time landscaping per week.
Per week, yes.
Yeah, and then your buddy or your friend that you met in Seattle said that they'll pay you 40 cents a mile to do a cross country trips.
Well, I met him. I was taking a friend to Seattle back with a car. Back then, I was still working landscape. He took a week off. I want to go to Seattle and back, and you gotta time it right. So I was driving with the car, in the midway was putting fuel. I met a guy, and he's a truck driver. He's paying 40 cents a mile, and I had his head stuck that for the trip. I came. I did in the week. I did the 3,000 miles there and come back. So that's 6,000 miles. That's $2,400. I was like, damn, that's a lot of money for a week.
Yeah.
So I said, can I drive a truck?
Yeah.
And what I need to do to drive a truck, did the research, and I get into the CDL, and I mean, I got hired the day I got the CDL. I got the CDL on Saturday, and Saturday I got hired, and I said, this guy, when I apply for work, he says, literally a guy quit on me, I need this truck to go to New Jersey. I said, to New Jersey from all the places. He said, okay. All right, so I took the truck and the load, and I started literally with no clothes or nothing. I was just that in the.
Yeah.
Did you go to CDL school?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Got it. And so this was 2010. No, this was before 2007.
Yes.
And you got in the industry 2009?
2009, yeah.
And you were a broker, straight from Echo broker?
Yep.
Okay, got it. And what year did you both start working together? When you were a dispatcher?
Yes,
Right.
probably 12.
2012.
2012? Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So it was a while. Okay, I know there are some stories you're telling us about when you were a driver. Would you want to touch on those stories a little bit?
That's no.
No. Okay. All right. That's for private only conversations.
Off the record.
Yeah, off the record.
In the days
Okay.
of paper logbooks,
Yeah.
it's best not to discuss those things.
Okay. No worries. Completely understandable.
Industry-wide consensus. So.
Yeah, definitely. But okay, so you ended up driving Toni until 2010,
Yes.
and then you became a dispatcher.
Yes.
So how was that transition like, going from being on the road to dispatching trucks?
For me, it was the total. I was so happy to get out because I had so many troubles making out money through the registration, as I said,
Yeah.
with your own truck and trailer. I would say now in money wise, and you get to a load from Gary, Indiana to New Jersey, $1,250, and you wait for 2-3 days for a load, and you come back empty. So it's
That was 2009, right?
2009.
2009?
Yes. So before
Oh.
it flipped. So early 2009. Mid 2009 started getting better, but then the truck got one overhaul. The guys didn't do well. Another overhaul.
No.
And
And you were an owner operator then?
yes,
Okay.
owner operator. And then after the second overhaul, I was dry. My
Yeah.
money couldn't fix it. Parked the truck looking for either truck driving opportunity, and then it came out to be a dispatch
Okay.
opportunity. And when I started there, I care about the drivers. I care about what they gonna make because I came from,
Sure.
from the misery that you go through every day on the road.
Yeah.
And then I was trying a lot, and all the drivers were recognizing that I was number one in the company. And the company I started was 14 trucks. In a year and a half that I was there, we come to 70 something trucks.
Wow.
From that. But I truly care. I was working 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. every day. I don't care. I loved it.
Yeah.
And for me, it was rewarding. It was rewarding. So I think the reason for, I would say, my recognition and it was all that because I cared. I cared a lot about the people
Okay.
behind the wheel.
So from 2010, 2012, dispatching trucks for a company.
Yes.
And then 2012 comes around and you take the leap to become an entrepreneur,
Yes.
open tag truck lines.
Tag Trans.
Tag
So,
Trans. Tag Trans. Okay. So how was that like?
It was maybe that's off the record. I don't know. So, but it was necessary because it's the lifestyle with the working that much. I guess I burnt out, and I needed to start something different. The amount of work I was getting there was not the way, and the company culture what I was, it was not there what I wanted to be.
Okay.
There was some things changed during that period that was not in line with what I believe was supposed to be done, and I started on my own with my wife. So we started with one truck, and we geared up from there.
Yeah. Okay.
But definitely the main driver to switch was the culture and the attitude that was changed in the company I was
Okay.
previously. So I believed in being fair to the drivers and give the best of the service to them,
Sure.
and that changed where
Yeah.
I was.
And like we mentioned before, you knew Simon or met Simon around 2012 when you were a broker at Echo.
Yep.
You started feeding some loads, probably some good paying lanes, to Toni to help him grow the business. Can you kind of like tell us, so you started building the trucking company, like kind of like tell us how it scaled, and then maybe when did you come over? Like maybe you could like mold the stories together. How did that all occur?
Sure. So I mean, the trucking company was scaling on its own, and Tony's done a great job with that. I mean, my collaboration with the trucking company is very limited because I mean, it's frankly just the freight I gave him every once in a while.
Yeah.
But that's unrelated to me whatsoever, other than just helping him out from drinking some rakia every once in a while. But
Rakia? Yeah, of course.
Are
So
you
I
aware?
was drinking rakia in Macedonia. It was tough to drink. I'm not gonna lie.
it's delicious. A little
It's not too easy to drink.
I mean, you're
but-
Polish, so vodka, obviously, right?
Yeah, I'm a tequila guy.
You're a tequila
I
guy?
love tequila. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really like vodka to be honest, but
Okay.
rakia is tougher than vodka for sure.
You think so?
You need to be like a strong Balkan man to drink rakia.
You look like look at this tracksuit.
Maybe with this tracksuit, I
Well,
could
you
drink
gotta
some
wear the
rakia.
tracksuit. then
Do we
you
have
can-
rakia here? We could drink some rakia right now.
I mean, honestly, the watchers, they don't know that it's 8 a.m. It's fine.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's more appropriate. We're wearing the tracksuit.
Yeah.
Well, hold on, like real quick. So you started with one truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
In 2012.
But you weren't driving. Did you hire a driver?
Yes, I hired a driver.
Okay. And how quickly did you start? When did you get your second truck?
It was the owner operator. Right? It's not my truck. It was the
Okay.
owner operator that came in, and then the second truck was the second owner operator that hired because I took care of this guy. So it's
So you got your second owner op because you treated the first one well,
Yes.
and was it like word of mouth? Like
Yes.
Oh, cool, nice.
Yeah.
Yes, so that was pretty much till 2017 November. I was like in dispatch and trying to help in safety, and whenever they had accident incident, purchasing trailers, renewal insurance was always a hurdle when you had to renew insurance with the new company back then. Regulation were changing. When you tried to grow the safety score, it was new thing that FMCSA got a safety score, which was not favorable to anybody in our size and growth back then. Probably it's different now, or I don't know. But we learned a lot through that, through pain, through changes, regulations. And 2017, when we had to put the ELDs, it was a moment.
How many trucks did you have then?
85. So the same.
Wait, so you started in 2012 with one, and then in 5 years you had 85.
Yes.
Okay.
And
All
then
the mix of owner ops and company trucks,
yes,
or okay,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. And then we cannot be dispatching anymore. I had to step up and try to get a new software. We got McCloud software integrated into the systems and the ELD system and all that. We tried to reorganize the company. So it took a couple of years to reorganize, resettled with all this, and to get to setting up a new stage, hiring the right people, right fleet manager, right dispatchers, and handling the customers. So till we get to a point right now when we're in a more stable position, and the safety scores are phenomenal for the company.
But to answer your question, Paul, a little bit, Tony just touched on something about taking care of the drivers, right? That's kind of one of the things that attracted me to working with him, because we always worked together. I knew he always going to take care of me as a customer, and he always saw me as a customer as well, right? I was a broker, right? But one of the issues I think in the industry is that a lot of carriers don't see the broker as a customer. They see him as a broker. They literally refer to them as a broker, right? And Tony always had a different mentality. He had the mentality of like, I'm going to take care of Simon. I'm going to take care of his book of business. I'm going to make sure he's taken care of, whether it's Echo or it doesn't matter where. It was me, and for him, I was a customer, which for me was huge. And I still very much believe the same thing. So that's one of the things that we kind of have. We're aligned on, and one of the things that I wanted to instill in our brokerage now, in terms of the fact that we treat our carriers as partners with us, and we treat our customers as customers, but we treat them really well, right? We're huge on building those relationships, and I think that's the way every brokerage should do it, because I hate the fact that broker has become this like 4-letter word in the industry. I think it's a massive issue personally. Like at this point, I'm doing this for 14 years. Logistics, being a broker, that's my career. And the fact that sometimes people feel ashamed for being a broker when they're calling shippers and they say, I don't work with brokers. Well, why is that? Because they had a bad experience, right? Or if you call sometimes a large carrier and they say, I don't work with brokers. Why is that? Because they don't respect them, right? So I think that's something that generally needs to change in the industry, and that's something that I really think that we're trying to do here. And it's not necessarily like a secret sauce that we're doing something drastically different. It's literally just taking care of people, looking out for the carrier, looking out for the shipper. And if we tell them that we're going to pick up a load and it costs us extra $1,000, we're going to do that. I hear people talking about the fact that they're proud of the fact that they never take losses. To me, that means that they're okay not picking up a load, right? I hear people talking about the fact that they're proud of the fact that we're making extra money off this load off the carrier. That means they're probably not paying accessorials, right? I see that relationship between the broker and the carrier as independent from the customer. The thing you hear a lot about is, oh, you've got the tension. Let me check with the customer, right? And that's the standard process. Guy calls in, I've got the tension. Let me check with the customer and get back to you. Customer denied it, you're screwed. That's pretty standard, right? At a lot of brokerages.
That seems very broken.
And I think like the carrier didn't agree to take the load with the customer.
Yeah.
They agreed to take the load with us.
Yeah.
So why is it all of a sudden that I have the ability to say, no, I'm not paying this? That seems horribly wrong. So that's one thing that we never do, and make sure that we're trying to like spread throughout the industry. Because I think that the process should be, if you agree to take a load with me, I'm going to take care of you, right? I don't see why that's not a standard process in the brokerage.
Sure.
Is
You know what I
that
mean?
something as a fleet owner, like that philosophy? Like, do you see that in a lot of companies or like in a lot of other brokerages that maybe you've worked with, or is that kind of rare?
Well, it was the I will go back to what he said is that trust that comes to. So when I was working with owner operators, and you're gonna give, because he's gonna wait somewhere for 6-7 hours to get frustrated, and he said, "This guy's not gonna pay you the pension. You know, I gotta get out." I say, "Okay, trust me, you're gonna get paid." So that's why choosing who you work with matters, and that's that trust. I know after that I'm gonna go to my broker customer. He's gonna pay me, and I'm good, and I pay the driver is happy, and that's what keeps him going. But many brokers were not
Because you're going to
that.
pay your driver whether or not you get paid by the broker, right?
Yes.
I'm assuming.
So it should be the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
We as the broker should pay the carrier whether or not you get paid by the customer.
Yeah.
And then later you can make an adjustment of charging the customer more on the next load because you know they're not going to pay accessorials.
Yeah.
Or if the customer is really bad, then to fire the customer.
Yeah.
Not every like as a broker, we're desperate for customers, but there's bad customers out there that pay bad for line haul, and then we pass it along to the carriers, and they get mad at us for the fact that brokers are always trying to screw us on rates, when in reality, it's sometimes the shipper, right? And the same thing on accessorials. Like, if the customer's not going to pay accessorials, be aware of that. Put that on rate confirmation. And if the carrier still wants to take the load, knowing that there's no accessorials that are going to be paid, then great. But don't surprise them afterwards,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. So going back to the timeline, because I'm always interested in timelines and stuff. November 2017, you mentioned that ELDs came into effect. You kind of had to step out from like the day-to-day functionalities and grow the business. When did you start expanding the businesses and your scope of services? Because like, was it right around that time, or like when did all other companies get formed?
Okay, so that's right around that time when I had to step out from that position, and I was able to do it because I had big support from my wife. She's back in operation, and in accounting was I know I can trust that the numbers can be right, but we needed the system to look through it. After that, you can dedicate some time to start the different things and look for stuff. By the time we were ready to make let's say move on a terminal, we were chasing this terminal, next terminal. They were getting more expensive by the day. Since let's say 2018 to 19 to 20, everything was getting more expensive by the day. So if the terminal was supposed to be $2-3 million, it was going for 3.5. So you were missing for a little bit, and we finally get under. Then the Corona turbulence happened, and then you're down or you go up. And 2021, we went under contract for this place, and we've been 1 year till we closed in 2022. So we early 2022, then we're renovating and making the operations here.
And so those operations are the truck sales, the repair shop, and the trucking company. Essentially, you have all of the fleet, the parking here, right?
Yes.
For the trucks.
Yes.
Okay. And you also obviously have outside services for other companies coming in here. It's not only in-house.
Yes. And we have another terminal repair shop in Temple, Georgia.
Temple, Georgia. Okay.
Yes.
Well, when did that open?
It's before this one. So
Before
that's,
this one?
Yes.
Why Temple?
I had a good driver and friend, I would say, that was working with me that he had 4 kids already, and he needed to stay around home. And and he was good with mechanics, so fixing his trucks and other drivers' trucks. So I purchased a land with the repair shop, so we opened that over there. That's prior to this.
Got it. Okay.
So-
And then Logan Premium? When did,
Logan Premium was running since 2015, just as I was gonna sell some load that's extra to the customer that he did trust me to give it to somebody else.
Sure.
So it was a revenue-wise that
So it
close
was
to
like
$1 million.
overflow. It was like
Yeah.
overflow.
Some
So you-
overflow for over just $1 million.
So that's actually smart because you're able to build credit score, because that's the most difficult thing building a brokerage is having a credit score and having financial records. So you're able to build that up. And then when did you actually start like thinking about expanding the brokerage?
I was thinking to grow it once I have time.
Sure.
That was not happening. But then through a conversation with Simon, we find a mutual interest and.
Okay, so you reached out to Simon?
Yes.
Okay, but what year was this?
2020, same.
2020, so pandemic.
Naples, Florida.
Yeah.
Naples, Florida? Wait, what's the story here?
The Naples, so Tony invited me to this car show down in Naples, Florida called Cars on Fifth.
Okay, so you both flew from Chicago.
We both flew down to,
Yeah.
so on I believe Spirit Airlines to go look at a bunch of Ferraris, because, yeah.
That's the way it goes, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, fun story that night when we landed. That was that first night, right, where we had to shoot the hotel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we flew down there to watch all these Ferraris at this car show, right? And Spirit was delayed, as Spirit does. And we ended up landing maybe around midnight or something like that. And we had an Airbnb picked out and paid for everything, but it was in a gated community. And the people didn't put a name down at the gate, so all of a sudden we couldn't get through. So we're arguing with this security guy for about an hour. He's not letting us in, so all of a sudden we're stranded, homeless, there for this car show about a bunch of Ferraris, right? And so all of a sudden we're looking for a hotel, but the issue was there was Cars on Fifth, which is a massive car show. There's some kind of wine festival. There's some kind of art exhibit, something or another. So everyone in the whole world was apparently in Naples, Florida that weekend. So all of a sudden we're scrambling, looking for a hotel, and we're literally driving around because our phones are dead. And Tony is running around, hopping into hotels, asking if they have vacancies. So
Yeah. Did you find a room?
We finally ended up staying at like the most expensive hotel in Naples, Florida. Just the only place we could find. It was like $1,000 a night or something.
Wow.
But anyway, so we're in Naples, and we've been talking about this whole brokerage thing for a while now, and I was always a little hesitant, but we were kind of watching all of these planes fly over, these private jets, as the end of the weekend was coming. And Tony and I are like, how do we get in those private jets, right? And we both looked at it and were like, what we're currently doing isn't working, so we need to partner up and do something to get into this private jet situation. So that's when I basically decided that I needed to make a change so I could get a private jet. So that's why we're here.
Okay.
So I think we're a little far away from that still, but in a few years.
Next year, you guys are going to buy an airport. You'll land the plane there. You'll park the plane. Maybe open a plane repair shop or something.
Reed always asks people if they own a G-Wagon. So do you guys own G-Wagons yet? Like say that.
I don't see any G-Wagons in the parking lot, unfortunately.
We need to go to Elk Grove Village for that.
Yeah, okay, we'll go there next.
I mean, we're dressed like we were drinking last night.
I mean, we're dressed like we're from Elk Grove Village.
We might go to the dealership after this. There we go.
He's like, oh yeah, I just had like 10 other guys come
You
in
walk
last
in,
week,
you wear
just
this,
like
you're like, hey, like,
Automatically
just get a
approved.
G-Wagon. Like,
Yeah.
sorry,
Approved.
Sorry, serious.
Yeah.
No credit check required.
So-
Looking at you could tell.
None.
So Naples, Florida was exactly
That
when?
was 2021 maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
What month?
Time flies, yeah.
What month was that around?
April maybe, give or take.
Sorry about that. Okay, so April 2021. So you're like, you guys both decided that you had this dream of being in a private jet,
Correct.
and the way to get there is through
The brokerage.
partnering up together.
Yes.
Okay. So you ended up leaving Echo at that time?
Yep.
Okay, you ended up leaving Echo, and then how was the beginnings of Logan Premium like?
There was some issues. Echo wasn't too happy about me leaving.
Okay. Yeah.
Understandably so, but after some back and forth, they kind of they accepted it and they were okay with it. So, but at the beginning, there was definitely some hurdles that we went through and some growing pains. Me running a brokerage was new for me. Tony running a brokerage was, I mean, he's from the trucking side, right? So there's a lot of similarities for sure, but there's definitely a lot of things that are drastically different between running a trucking company and running a brokerage. So it was kind of new for everyone involved. But the perks of that is you could kind of create your own thing, right? You don't have to work off the same model that everyone's using all the time. So the fact that we had like a clean slate was honestly a beautiful situation. So we had the opportunity to kind of redo things that big brokerages typically do that, we mentioned the accessorial thing about treating carriers a certain way, like those things that frankly, if you go into an existing brokerage, they're already implanted in terms of how things are done. So Tony and I had an opportunity to kind of start from scratch in that regard, which is great.
It's basically like it's like the exact opposite of like a mature brokerage, like an Echo where you came from. You're like now at a place where there's no rules and you get to write them.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like
So basically, at the beginning, it was okay. So sit down, name everything that you didn't like, right? What are the things that were done and you're like, that's not the right way of doing it. That's not the right way of treating people. And then just do the opposite, frankly. That's at the beginning, that's what it was. It was figuring out everything that's kind of broken in the system and then fixing it.
It's interesting you say that. I listened to a podcast where they talk about, it was about Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett's partner.
Of course.
And he does this exercise where he does inversion. So it's like, like if you want to build a successful business, it's like write down all the things that would not lead to be a successful business. Like not treating your customers right, not treating your employees right, and then just do the opposite. Right. And he does that exercise. So that's I like that you said that because it makes sense. And it's
the George Costanza method.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I didn't know that. So
not a Seinfeld fan. No.
I mean, I've never watched it. Okay. I've seen the memes.
Anyway, he's always wrong about everything, right? So one year he decided that he's going to just do the opposite because everything he always did was wrong. So if he just did the opposite, it was going to work out.
Oh,
nice.
Right?
So
okay. Got it.
So he was ahead of Munger, but yeah.
Okay.
We gotta get George Costanza in the brokerage.
Honestly, he would do great.
Yeah.
George Costanza is definitely a broker.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Bring Kramer too.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I think he's been canceled, but.
Oh, well, okay. Cut that out. That was years ago.
So, that was mid 2021 issues. Obviously, as always, businesses problems.
Yep.
Can you kind of just take us to, I guess, where you are now with the companies, both with Logan and with the trucking side and all of it? How's it operating?
Yeah, so I mean, on the Logan side, at the beginning, obviously not a lot going on, not a lot of money, not a lot of people started out. There's Anders and Josh, a couple of first employees we brought in, and for the most part, most people that we brought in, everyone stays around, right? They love what we're doing. Same thing with customers. We don't really lose customers. Same with carriers. They keep working with us, and that's kind of with a small company that you need to do that. You can't. There's a lot of some of the bigger brokerages. They kind of turn and burn, right? They go through carriers, go through customers. And they don't really care because, frankly, there's just more of them out there, right?
They go through employees.
For a company like exactly, right? They hire them. If they don't work out after 5-6 months, get rid of them. Bring in a new batch, right?
Sure.
We prefer to look at it more long term in terms of relationships with all three: customers, carriers, employees, everything. And for us, that's working. Frankly, I think everyone that's with us is super talented, amazing people, and I'm incredibly proud of the team we've built out so far. And everyone, for the most part, seems to want to stick around for the long term and see how this plays out.
Sure.
And I love that. So started out with a couple employees. Now we're up to 25, which in the grand scheme of things is nothing, tiny. But percentages wise, if you want to play fun with numbers, right? The numbers are great. So same things with the revenue, same thing with profit. Everything is going in the right direction, which is we're incredibly proud of. But all these numbers are still tiny for a company like us. So.
It's all relative, right?
It's all relative,
25 is a lot to me.
But I mean, in look at the past year when I've heard some of your podcasts, people talking that they're happy that they've grown 5-10% because it's been a tough year.
Yeah.
Us growing 50% year over year, quarter over quarter, we're up over 100% over.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That for us, these are they're all small numbers, but at the same time, it's proof of concept, right?
Wow.
What we're doing is working. People are recognizing it.
Sure.
Whenever I hear carrier call in, talk about how they love working with us, that's what gets me excited every day.
Definitely.
Seems like paying out detention yields good results.
Turns out $50 gets you a lot of good loyalty with carriers.
So.
Yeah, and paying it right away, not being like, oh, I'll go check with the customer and I'll let you know, and then it's 3 or 4 weeks, and it's I'm still checking with the customer, and just frustrating because you can't invoice and stuff. So,
which I mean, I'm big on having a lot of things. I'm a big process guy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm big on having everything on rate confirmations. The rate confirmation there is a contract between a broker and a carrier, and a lot of times it's treated as just something everyone skims over, like terms and conditions on an Apple phone, right? When in reality, it's there to protect both sides. So whatever your retention policy is, put it on there.
Sure,
right?
sure.
If you have a crappy one, put it on there.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, put it on there so they know what they're signing
Being
up for.
proactive.
Exactly. Don't
communicating.
negotiate afterwards.
Yeah.
Then you're. It's kind of like when brokers get mad at a carrier for holding their load hostage. Well, what are their options?
Sure.
Honestly, right?
Yeah.
Because once they deliver that load, then they're up to the discretion of whatever random 22-year-old broker they're talking to,
Sure.
as to if they're going to get screwed or not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a messed up process.
Totally. I'm curious, Toni, from the trucking aspect side, I mean, as we all know, like trucking companies are facing a tough time right now. Can you kind of like touch on that subject a little bit? Like, you know, what are you seeing overall? And to add on top of that, like, when do you like foresee the market to improve? Market improvement.
I always say in every market somebody's making a lot of money. So not everybody's losing, and when somebody to gain, somebody has to lose, is what I see. As a company, we're a very good team of people that work inside and care about the numbers of the drivers that they're doing, and we use a baseline. We take DAT numbers as let's say for drive and reefer van, and we always try to beat it for 20-30 cents of what they say the market rate is. So since we're doing that, we know that pretty much that's where you need to be.
And that's across all miles.
Yes, all miles, which is.
And we didn't actually mention this, but because you have a majority of flatbed trailers,
Yes.
and then you have reefer trailers, and only about 3 dry vans.
Driving 3 active, 7 of them were parked because the mileage the average per mile we were getting was below operation cost.
Yeah.
So we park them and sit
Sure.
till that changes, or we get a customer that's gonna pick up the freight.
Sure.
Refrigerated is doing well right now.
Do you think having flatbed trailers is an advantage in this down market right now?
For me, yes, because that's my main business, and the customers that I have I have a good base of customers that we have the lanes with them. We have also local drivers that go pick up loads from them and deliver trailers, so we get that service. I think it's the type of the trailer does not matter that much. It is the customers you have, so that's gonna take care of you or not.
Sure. Okay. But I think being more specialized with flatbed probably could differentiate yourself a little bit in terms of maybe getting getting different customers, because flatbed customers typically have more specialized freight, and you know, there's less flatbeds on the road than there's dry vans. So
way less.
Yeah, so that way you could like potentially get better paying freight because you're doing flatbed.
I think that's the opinion, and many people are gonna drop the drive and are gonna go on a flatbed right away and then buy the equipment for $2,500, $3,000, and think that they're gonna make more money, but that's not the case, because they're gonna be on the mercy on the brokers out there how much they want to pay them.
Sure.
So they might end up even losing more by switching to that. So it's as I said, it's important who is your customer. I have friends of mine that have refrigerated companies. That they do, and they have great customers paying them good money.
Yeah.
Drive-in also, and I have also people in my community that are parking here or fix their trucks that they went out of business or going out of business because of taking bad freight.
Sure.
On any equipment.
So you probably have like in the company, you make sure that you don't take bad freight, and then you also make sure that your team is building relationships with brokers and shippers.
Whatever we say we're gonna do, we do it. So if somebody of our team commits to a load, it's got to be done, no matter if it's bad or good. But we discuss it and we find it throughout the numbers. But every load that it's booked or agreed upon, we deliver with the best service we can.
Yeah.
So
I want to touch on this one subject also real quickly, because before we started recording, you were mentioning the data that you pull from the cloud that you really you utilize a lot. It seems like you study the data a lot that you get.
Daily, weekly. We have daily, weekly reports on everything that it's done per first per division that we have, and then we go per dispatchers, then per driver, and we analyze that and we find where inefficiencies. We're measuring we got the maintenance reports we pull out from Samsara. Those numbers, how they come, how per truck and which trucks are costing us more or less for repairs and parts, and then we go on the trailers maintenance cost. Then we go on the average per mile and the lanes and how much tolls is involved in this lane. And let's say average per mile going to the east and average per mile going to Midwest is not the same. And utilization and all that. So we pull a lot of reports and data in order to know where you at weekly, and then coach and learn from that and try to improve next time.
Definitely. And like that's definitely being a trucking company owner, having a lot of overhead, and even like the change in price of diesel is a huge difference in terms of how much profit you might end up making. And studying data is, I think, extremely valuable and important and those are the companies that typically are, the ones that will survive a down market, because like if you're saving even a couple percentage points due to the fact that you find out this inefficiency, that could lead to a profit compared to a company that's not doing that and is losing money, right?
You got to know your numbers.
Know your numbers.
Control your costs, understand.
Most important thing.
Everybody says you got to know the numbers in order to manage the numbers and to know what you can change or not change.
Sure.
The decision to park trailer or not park trailer, to hire on a reefer or drive it on a flatbed, which way we're gonna go, and go through the numbers daily. And you gotta trust the numbers. Yeah. And the fuel in the last 13 weeks went 80 cents a gallon, so that's significant, like a lot of money.
That's a ton.
I just saw a picture in California. It was $6.80 per gallon and $7.20 for diesel. That's what
that's insane.
Granted, it's Twitter, so
there's probably one gas station in LA.
X, yes.
But so with the truck sales, you've been doing that since 2021.
Truck sales is new. It's a 2023 technically.
Okay. So this beginning of this year?
Yes.
Have you seen like a change in terms of like a dip or maybe upswing? I know it's limited amount of data, but like what have you been noticing?
Pricing on the trucks goes down. On the used trucks goes down. The availability gained in 2023, and there's not the interest rates going up does not help a lot of people to make the decision to buy.
Sure.
So the truck sales is slow at the moment, but I'm expecting once this is the bottom to be on the market for that.
Right now you're feeling this is the bottom.
In my opinion.
So why did you get in? You got into truck sales because you obviously have this property, you have this facility, like you have these drivers coming in all the time, people know you, right? Was it pretty kind of a no-brainer to open this business? Like, do you think you're well positioned to be able to do it better than somebody who might just not be doing all the other things that you do?
Primarily just to replace our equipment, we're gonna, let's say if you're switching 20 trucks a year, and if you save $5,000 a truck just by doing it through your own facility, that's worth it. So then is the rest until you with getting into the buying power and getting wholesale deals, you can save a lot to grow your fleet.
So it can help you in other domains, in your other businesses. Yes. It's like very, very, so you're basically building kind of like a fully integrated company.
And we want to get the vertical integration.
That's sweet.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So before the pandemic, buying a truck was roughly about 100, or let's say Peterbilt, brand new Peterbilt was $165,000, and then right after the pandemic, all the part shortages drove up that price. I remember it was $200,000, $220,000 sometimes. Is that? How do the prices look like now?
It is speculation where the truck price is if we told those, because that's resellers that were say how much is a Taylor Swift concert ticket. So it's one price that she set it up, and then what the other people reselling it was different, right? Okay. So same with the trucks. A lot of the small retailers in Chicago, through United States, not Chicago, through United States, dealership were selling it for the set price agreed. So the dealer was going to give it to them, and then they will resell it for a markup. So for somebody, the truck sales did not go up. So if somebody was running a 100, 200, 300 truck company, they purchased the price on the trucks with maybe $5,000 more, $6,000 more than what it was agreed on some, but they were not getting trucks as much as they were agreed to. So let's say if they were agreed to 50, they were going to get 20.
Right.
But the many of the other people were reselling and getting that value to go that much.
It was crazy.
Yes, it was the retailers that did it.
Yeah. We have to start wrapping up here. So before we finish, I was wondering maybe if there's something that you want to touch upon beforehand, or maybe kind of tell us what your goals are, what you're looking forward, anything like that, just to tie it all in together.
Rita and I were talking about tech in the industry before this started, and I actually would love to talk to you about that a little bit more, because I know that your product that you have out there, I think, is very helpful to carriers, and I think that's something that's needed, honestly, because what we were talking about before is the fact that a lot of carriers are good at running trucks, and they have dispatchers that are good at finding loads through brokers, but from a marketing perspective and putting their name out there and reaching out to customers and shippers, they struggle, right? So Reed's product, frankly, seems to do a really good job of helping those carriers with some marketing and putting their name out there, and letting brokers, it's mostly brokers, right, that it's lined up with, letting them know, for now, we'll see where that goes, but letting them know what lanes they're running, where they have trucks, so on and so forth. And I'm interested to see like what you think you're going to do with that in terms of like later on.
Dude, you're not interviewing me, bro.
We're having a conversation.
No, I know. Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about that. That sounds awesome. Yeah, no, and I would love to learn how we can, adapt it to help you guys out across the different domains you're operating in. So, yeah. 100%.
All right, then we'll talk after. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Toni, Simon, thank you for having us here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, great story.
This is phenomenal. This is great.
This is really good stuff.
Yeah, you guys have a cool story.
Yeah, very cool story. And
And I mean, now you're going to look good forever.
Yeah, we look great. We're wearing
a little bit small, if you could tell right here, a little bit small, but
we're wearing these.
And the
That's
camera
only because I'm like too big. Paul's like 4 inches taller than me. I'm in the double X. He's in the large. We got some work to do.
Yeah, awesome, great.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
it's awesome,
guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Freight Caviar Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, or if you didn't, leave a review. Let me know what you think. I appreciate any feedback. If you'd like to have more Freight Caviar content, go to freightcaviar.com and subscribe to my email newsletter.